Welcome to KillerSites.com Flash Actionscript tutorial. In this video tutorial, what we're going to be doing is following up on some of the basics that we looked at in our first Flash tutorial offered here at KillerSites.com. In that first one, we looked at the basics of animation and how to work within the Flash environment, as well as setting up a basic website. However, in this particular version, we're going to be looking at Actionscript and how Actionscript can make your Flash files infinitely more powerful. We'll also be looking at some of the fundamentals of Actionscript, but also taking the time to address Actionscript in a larger project. That project will be building a Flash website completely using Actionscript 2.0. Let's address who exactly should be looking at this video. If you're new to Flash, then you should purchase the KillerSites.com Flash Basics tutorial before you look at this one. However, if you've covered some of the basics of Flash and now are interested in learning a little bit about Actionscript, this is the video for you. In this beginner Actionscript video, we'll be addressing Actionscript 2.0, which is primarily going to be used for those of you who have versions of Flash MX 2004 as well as Flash 8. In the subsequent versions of Flash, Flash 9, Actionscript 2.0 will still be available and applicable. For those of you that have earlier versions of Flash, specifically Flash MX or Flash 5, I will be addressing from time to time how things were written in Actionscript 1.0, and you'll find that a lot of these tutorials will still be applicable to your particular version of Flash. However, we are going to be addressing 2.0 Actionscript as it's much more sophisticated than its predecessor. To begin with, let's address how to access the action scripting window within the Flash environment. So, as I've mentioned, if you've gone through the basics of Flash, you know how to work within this environment already. However, you'll notice that above the Properties window that you see here, you'll also see that there is certainly some help files and the actions files. The actions are what we're going to be specifically interested in. And here is an action scripting window. Notice that you can undock this action scripting window so that it can be moved around. You can make it as large or as small as you would like. In the actions window, you'll notice a couple of things. First and foremost, you must have a file open. So I will close this and I'll create a new Flash file. So here in this document, just titled Untitled 1, we'll notice that we have the timeline visible. If I wanted to apply a action script onto this timeline, I can also go to the window menu up here and I could say Actions F9. And here we are now in the action scripting window. Let's look first and foremost at what happens when you write something directly into Flash. You'll notice that whatever words you are writing are going to be written with black text. Also, there are keywords in Flash. For example, you'll notice that var is something that Flash identifies as being part of the action scripting language. Hence, it turns blue. As well, you'll notice that if you put things in brackets, in quotations, as I've just done, that we have a color coding for green. That is for a string. What indicates these colors? Well, if you access the actions preferences right over here by pressing this button, let me just make it a little smaller so you could see the entire drop-down menu. When I do so, you'll notice that there are a whole bunch of information that we can add to this. Some of the things that you should always have is line numbers, so you can indicate what line your script is actually written on. This will be very useful when it comes to debugging. Also, you'll notice that it's useful to word wrap some of the text that's in here. That way, it will wrap onto a second line. And notice only when I press return does it say line 2 here. That's useful as well. Also, you might want to look at escape shortcut keys. Now, what are escape shortcut keys? Let me open this up and I'll show you a little bit more. Within the Flash action scripting window, you'll notice that there is a little open and close tab right here, and this will open and close your Actionscript toolbox. Now, by no means are we expecting anybody to memorize absolutely every single thing that the Flash action scripting language can do or write, but the good people at Adobe have given us the action scripting toolbox to give us a hand. So notice, if you've forgotten how to control your timeline, you can open up global functions and say play. And just by double-clicking it, wherever your cursor is, the play will be written. Also, I can erase that and show you that you can drag and drop a script in that fashion. You can also access the action scripting window by adding the plus sign here. Global functions, timeline control, I can say play, and there's my play written one more time. So that's all very useful. Also, at the bottom of this action scripting window, it'll tell you what the current selection is, saying it's the frame, layer 1, frame 1. Another good thing to be aware of is the fact that here, layer 1, frame 1 is indicating where this script is actually written. That's very useful because we don't want to inadvertently put a script on a frame that we don't want, or on a graphic symbol like a movie or button, movie clip or button. So this is extremely useful for us, and we should get very used to seeing how that works and how you can access that information. Also notice that here it says pin active script. If you have something that's written on this particular frame, as I'm showing you right now, and then you also had something that was on the stage, for example, if I'm going to make this a F8 converted into a movie clip or button symbol, and then notice here it's the symbol 1. I could access this by pressing here and writing a script on that.